Let's check the book. In the book of Genesis chapter 1, of course, around verse 26 and verse 27. Let's check the book. In Genesis chapter 1, around verse 26, 27, familiar text, listen to what the Bible says. We find these words. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Watch verse 27. So God created man in his what? Own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he what? Them. So the first thought I'm trying to suggest is this. We're talking about God. God made us. Therefore, God ought to know what it takes for us to have in our midst, among us, in our thoughts and mind, to be able to understand clearly what God would have us to do. But let's again quickly check the book. In the book of Psalms, Psalms 139, beginning around verse 1 through verse number 6, notice what the psalmist writes. In Psalms 139, beginning around verse number 1, listen to what the Bible says. Psalms 139 division. Notice verse number 1 through verse number 6. Listen to what the Bible says. The psalmist writes this. O Lord, thou hast searched me, and you what? Know me. Thou knowest my downsetting and my uprising. Thou understand my thought afar off. Thou compassest my path, and by lying down, and are acquainted with what? All my ways, David says, verse 4. For there is not a word in my tongue, but lo, O Lord, thou knowest it altogether. Thou hast beset me behind and before, and laid thy hand upon me. Watch what he says, verse 6. Such knowledge, he says, is too wonderful for me. It is high. I cannot attain unto it. Let's check the book. You see, God knows everything about me. Everything that's on my tongue, everything that I'm about to think about. Even before I thought about it, the Lord knew I was going to think about it. He knows all about man. Let's check the book. In the book of Ephesians chapter 3, around verse number 20, listen to what the Bible says. In Ephesians 3, around verse number 20, the Apostle Paul writes these words to the church at Ephesus. He says this, now unto him that is what? Able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we what? Ask or think, according to the what? Power that worketh in us. And so God has the power to be able to do anything that's necessary to help us in this life. So really, it is unreasonable to even think that God would be in a situation communicating his word to us in such a way that is not understandable. It is not God's fault. Let's check the book. In the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 14, around verse number 33, listen to what the Bible says. In 1 Corinthians chapter 14, around verse number 33, let's check the book. At verse 33, we find these words. For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all the churches of the saints. And so if there's confusion, where mankind cannot understand the Bible and even understand it alike, certainly, without question, it is not God's fault. Therefore, the problem must lie in man. But the question still is, can we all understand the Bible alike? Well, let's check the book. In the book of John, if you would, chapter 17, around verse number 20 and 21, listen to what Jesus says as he prays to God the Father. Let's check the book. In John 17, around verse number 20 and verse number 21, we find these words. Jesus says, neither pray I for these alone. Who are they? The apostles. And so he's saying, I'm not just praying for the apostles' case, but watch the rest. But for them also, which shall believe on me through their what? Word. And so what Jesus is saying, I'm not just praying for my disciples, those that are with me down here while I'm on earth, but I'm also praying for all those that will believe on me, Jesus, through the apostles' word, through their teaching. What are you praying for, Jesus? Listen to verse 21. That they all, watch this, now not some of them, not a few of them, not even most of them, but that they what? All may be what? One, as thou, Father, art in me, and I in thee, that they also may be one in us, that the world may believe that thou hast what? Sent me. And so Jesus' prayer is that men would all be what? One. Now here's the point. If Jesus prayed for it, then that means that it is certainly possible. Whether it will happen or not may be another question, but it's not that it is impossible for us to be one, for us to be able to believe the Bible alike.